Hello, let's see what we can do with the Caffeine Chrome extension. The first thing we need to do is install it from the Chrome Web Store. Just look for Caffeine in the extension section, add it to Chrome. We're going to take apart the Netflix movie player web app. It turns out to be a React app, so I've also installed some React Chrome DevTools panels as well that help you look at components. You can see that we have the Caffeine and React Chrome DevTools panels installed there. Removed the event handler that Netflix installs for the context menu on the page so that we can inspect individual UI components. For example, the skip forward button. We can use the React inspector to figure out what function clicking on that button will do. And you have to know a bunch about how React components are put together to find that information, but assuming you do, then you can use these React DevTools panel tools to find that function and inspect it with the rest of the Chrome DevTools tools from the console. You can set a function as a global variable in the console and then use the dir console command to actually inspect the object to which the function is bound. Now, starting up Caffeine here in its panel, we can see how we can do a bunch of that same stuff that we would have done from the console and the React component panel programmatically with Smalltalk expressions. First, we want to get our hands on a debugger attached to the tab that has Netflix running in it. And then we're going to resolve the objects that it's holding onto. Now, some important documentation here are the Chrome APIs that both Caffeine and the Chrome DevTools itself uses to manipulate all this information. So to get our hands on the tab we want to use the Chrome.tabs API. And to run our debugger, we want to use the Chrome debugging protocol, which has a bunch of sub-protocols called domains in it. So anyway, those two pages are really important. So here's how we get our hands on that button that does skip forward. All that code is the equivalent of all the searching around we did in those inspectors in the Chrome DevTools. So here's an example of actually controlling the Netflix app transport controls programmatically from Smalltalk. So let's jump back a little bit to see how we get our hands on JavaScript objects from Smalltalk. There's a global in Smalltalk called JS, and that corresponds to the window object in JavaScript in your browser. And in Smalltalk, it's actually an instance of JS object proxy. And there are some special messages like counterpart you can send to that to get your hands on a Smalltalk object that you can add protocol to. So you can create these mashups between Smalltalk and JavaScript where you can add your own Smalltalk methods to something that in turn send multiple JavaScript objects to do what you want to do. So here we're just looking in the classes browser at these two classes which form the basis of our bridge, JS Object Proxy and JS Object. And if you look at the hierarchy for JS Object, you see that I've already made a bunch of subclasses of JS Object that correspond to a bunch of commonly used things in a web browser environment, like HTML elements and blobs. Now here we're looking at the Caffeine Chrome DevTools component itself with a debugger on it, just to show that in this debugger we've added a global variable to the window and we can look at it from Smalltalk. And that can be anything, even a function. Like here we're going to add a function from the DevTools console. And we see that in Caffeine, we can get our hands on it. And you see that you can get your hands on the properties of a JavaScript object. And if you just send the message, then you can invoke that object if it's a function. Thanks for watching.